Marriage can be very, very tricky. Most of us don't realize, me included, for a long time, that marriage and communication is a skill. And the challenge is that we are not taught these skills of communication within marriage. We try to wing it, right? And that's what we're supposed to do. That's what society kind of sets us up to do, is to just wing it. It should come natural. If we're meant to be, it should be natural. It should be easy. And that's not the case. I know that wasn't the case for my wife and I for a long time. We were spinning in like completely and totally different orbits as it pertained to communication. I would communicate one way, she would communicate the other. You know, she'd come to me with things that were challenging her, things that she needed to vent about. And what would I do? I would fix her problems, right? That's like what I should do. In fact, I'm like doing an injustice if I don't offer advice or a solution. I couldn't understand for the life of me, like why she didn't receive that, why she wasn't accepting of that. And in fact, it usually had the opposite effect that I thought it would, where she would feel disconnected from me. The other thing too, as it related to any problems that we faced, it could have been finances. You know, we went through financial stress. It could be communication, like I'm talking about right now. Like it was problems with the way we were talking to each other. It could have been things even in the bedroom. And it could be things even with parenting. I know all of us have really gone through crucibles like this as it relates to communication, and we just don't know the answers, and we just are so frustrated. And we're like, why isn't this working? Are we not meant to be together? Is that just the way it's going to be? Is she forever not going to understand me and I'm not going to understand her? Like all these things, right? First of all, I want to just reassure you that this is not easy. We're not taught these things. And it's not our fault that we haven't been taught these things. And most of us actually probably grew up with an example of our parents like literally doing the best they probably could, but they were winging it too. So now we're another generation of just winging it, right? So what do we do, right? One thing is absolutely for certain, and that is when it comes to marriage, we focus so much on problems. It's our communication problem. It's our sex problem. It's our parenting problem. It's like all these problems. How do we fix the problem? And focusing so hardcore on the problem doesn't really offer us any real solutions because we're so darn focused on fixing this thing, right? But what if we went at this a different way? And what if we went at this conversation with our wives as far as like what we want to accomplish and how we want to be successful if we just framed questions differently? Because one thing that we've learned is the quality of our life depends on the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves and those around us. So if we're asking poor questions like, why can't we communicate very well? Why can't we fix our problems in the bedroom? Why do we keep fighting about how we're going to parent our kids? The answers that are going to come back is like, oh, you want to know why you can't solve your parenting issues, your financial issues, your problems in the bedroom? This is why. And then we start getting this inner dialogue and these answers back of like, oh, maybe we're just not meant to be together. Shouldn't this be easier? Like all these things, right, that are not true. So what if we went at these conversations just a little bit differently? And what if they went something like this? Like if you went to your wife, or wives, if you went to your husbands and said, you know what? I really care about you a lot. I love you more than anything. And what I'd really like to do is have a deeper connection with you. I want to be able to talk to you about anything. I want to be able to share needs, wants, and desires. I want to be able to be on the same page with you as a parent. I want to achieve our financial goals. Instead of focusing on everything that's wrong, what if we asked each other, hey, if we were sitting on our porch, enjoying the weather, having a glass of wine, and we held our glasses up and we toasted to, man, look at the success that we're having. And again, that success could be, what are we celebrating? Again, it could be, how are we communicating? How are we parenting? what our finances look like, all these things, right? What would we be celebrating in 6 months? If we were sitting on our patio, having a glass of wine, we toasted our glasses to, what are we celebrating right now? What are things that have happened over the past 6 months that show that we are being successful? And the cool thing is that when you create the vision, because that's really what we're getting at, create the vision of where we want to go, it's much easier to work backwards and to implement tactics, implement milestones and goals to achieve that very thing. Think about it. We do this with our health, right? I want to be 180 pounds and 10% body fat, right? That's my goal. That's my vision. I'm just using that as an example. In order to do that, maybe we're at 210 pounds and we're at 18% body fat. Okay, if I want to get there in 6 months, what do I have to do from an activity standpoint, from a diet standpoint, to achieve these goals? Same thing with our finances. If by the time I'm 60, I want to have $1 million in the bank, what milestones do I have to hit? If I work backwards, how would I be celebrating $1 million in the bank? Because that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by discipline. How much do we have to save per week, per month, per year to hit that goal? Well, guess what? When it comes to the relationship, when it comes to communication, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to even needs, wants, and desires in the bedroom, that tactic can work the exact same way. So that's what we call a future generative question. If we were to fast forward 6 months from today, and we were toasting to success in this area, whatever it is, what things happened that we know were successful? The other thing too, as it pertains to communication, a lot of us have been successful in the past already. And we're always thinking, and a way to fix the problem is I constantly have to reinvent how I'm going to fix this problem or come up with this solution, when in the past, we've already been successful, right? So if I don't feel very connected to my wife, like if we're both busy, we're spending a lot of time, doing our thing, raising kids, I'm working, stay-at-home mom, homeschooling, hybrid, COVID, all these things, all these demands. A great question would be, when have you felt most connected to me? What were we doing on a regular basis, and why was it so meaningful? If I pose that question to my wife, or she poses that question back to me, the answer that I'll get is the exact solution where we've already been successful in the past. And identifying where we've been successful and where we want to go, that's a combination right there of success as it relates to communication and being aligned with our goals and our vision as married couples, as parents, financially, parenting, sexually, emotionally, mentally, physically, even spiritually. So think about that. What would we be celebrating in 6 months if we have achieved whatever level, milestone, or whatever? And where in the past have we already been successful? What things were we doing, and why was it so meaningful? So I hope that helps, because God knows I spent way too many years in my marriage beating my head up against the wall, asking really poor questions, and not communicating the way I really wanted to. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, share it. Feel free to share it. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we'll be putting a plethora of resources just like this. So anyway, go out and live legendary. Live legendary, if I can only talk.